Welcome, New York. Welcome to the Post 90 podcast. We have a decision day game to talk about against Montreal. Obviously, not going the way I think anybody from the NYCFC camp would have expected it to, or definitely wouldn't have wanted it to go that way. But there, is a number of things to talk about, whether that's the playoff bracket that we now have finalized, Miami setting the points record all time for the MLS, which is wild, and obviously with them being in the Eastern Conference, they're on our side of the bracket, and I feel like as usual, the Eastern side of the conference or Eastern side of the bracket is a pretty tough one. We've got Cincy as our draw, at least 2 games against them, maybe 3, and then if we manage to scrape by that, we're likely playing Columbus because Columbus has the Red Bulls. So it's either an emotional derby or what has turned into somewhat of a rival with Columbus, even though they've been smacking us around every time. Like, we give them probably their toughest games of the season each time we see them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, looking at just kind of the big picture right now, there's a lot of conversation just about the club in general, but like the positioning. There's a few things that guys like Michael Allen brought up that I kind of wanted to bring up as well. But I don't know, I feel like the random break in between what was seemingly this club not turning things around, but like hitting their stride, getting some results, scoring goals, and then we get this break in that dud of a performance. Like, I just feel like we were kind of stopped from going on a huge run. Like, this wasn't something that in our championship season happened. Like, we were able to kind of go from, I know the cliche of like goody free kick, but go from that and snowball it into a championship. I feel like the international break might have robbed that from us in a way.
And like part of where that comes from too, which sucks to say because I feel like we're pretty big supporters of the Leagues Cup, but like adding all these extra fixtures and these tournaments in the middle of the season that extend it, like now you end up with like what league in the world in what is really like the most anticipated part of the season is like, let's just take a week off of play, which is effectively 2 weeks between people seeing their team play. And, it not only has a negative effect on probably fan engagement, but like we historically as a club have had an issue with playing through breaks or coming back from breaks. And for whatever reason, like that is an identity of the club. And like it showed its head again in this scenario. And, every game, at least the last few games, has felt like we've already been in the playoffs. Like this has been a playoff run into playoffs in a way because we're fighting for positioning and everything else that could have possibly happened for us to have our own destiny in our own hands happened. And then we kind of like flubbed it on our own. So that is also kind of a tough thing to come to terms with. I'm sure the players and the coaches must feel that too. But at least towards the end of the game, it didn't feel like we cared or wanted to go for it.
Yeah, no, I feel like we were kind of protecting ourselves a little bit from injury or, a catastrophic ending or something. I roll back to thinking, we're probably sitting in 4th place had we played last week as opposed to this week.
Yeah.
And really for like no gain of anybody really.
Well, I remember going into the break, not expecting us to kind of fall off a cliff because it is, it was only 2 weeks ago, but it is hard to remember some of the performances after what we saw on Saturday. Like going into the break, we thought we have a good shot against Montreal to right the goal differential that will allow us, to steal like 4th or 3rd, even if Orlando was to win, and they ended up losing anyways. But like, it's crazy that our mindset was kind of at like, we could get 4 at Montreal. And like, instead we lose 2-0. So just from like an expectation standpoint, it was a pretty big letdown and just like a kind of a vibe destroyer going into the playoffs in a way.
Yeah, no, I was looking at this game as exactly what you just said, which was, a continuance of the vibe that was going on with the club, the form that a lot of these players were in. And, outside of like the first 20 minutes, we really didn't see a whole lot from the club. I know you pulled up the momentum layout of the game, which was showing heavily that we were at the front foot, but
I didn't see it.
That's not what I felt. That's not how the game felt when I was watching it. I know, when your team's trailing and chasing a game, it's never going to feel good or proper watching them play, but like whatever that chart showed, that's not what I saw on the field.
No.
Like I saw disjointed, you know, maybe good in possession, and maybe that's where the chart's coming from, but just, you know, silly mistakes. You go to the goal that, you know, ultimately was the nail in the coffin for us, where Thiago is kind of like hoping a ball goes out of bounds, starts to loaf, realizes, oh shit, this is actually going to stay in bounds, and then gets bodied off the ball just for like a FIFA swag goal. Those things we wouldn't have seen 2 weeks ago. Like that's not play that we would have seen 2 weeks ago, and that's not the play that's going to see us go past the first round.
No, and those are the tough moments. I know we've had few and far in between moments where we have to come on the podcast and talk about Thiago and him doing something wrong, because he's been the most consistent, one of the most consistent, probably next to Santi on the team. But like that's another thing, like talking about the identity of our club with coming off breaks and being slow. Like that's something that we know happens. A lot of times in the past, what we talked about on here when things have gone wrong is like we have these defensive lapses that happen, like it only has to happen once or twice a game, and then you're screwed. Like you're not going to win. And that was one of those things where oftentimes it's like our whole defense just turning their brain off for a second, but like in this case it was Thiago. And like those are the moments, I think if you're fresh, if you're in form and playing weekly, training, I'm not sure what type of break from training that they got over the course of the 2 weeks. But like, you have to think if everybody's sharp, like that's not something the only all-star on our team is going to do.
Yeah. And I don't know, you mentioned the identity thing. It's like, I'd be interested for someone who's like a stat nut to go in and look at our record versus breaks. Like it's got to be horrible in terms of we're not winning games after breaks. Probably not even drawing them, like significantly favoring, you know, the loss column. And I don't know what that is, if that's, you know, internally staff-wise, like, because that's been across every coach that's ever been here. So you can't look at that and be like, Nick is a bad coach because of this. Like that happened under Ronnie, it happened under Pat.
Yep.
Like all of these guys struggled coming off of breaks. We have to look deeper into it, and if it's a person that is more of like a player personnel type that isn't keeping these guys mentally sharp or whatever it is. But again, it's spanned managers, players, you know, coaching staff, cafeteria ladies. Like we've gone through a lot of different people, and the outcome is still the same. So we need to, I don't know, maybe switch something up.
Yeah, and you know, one thing that I thought of too related to the identity, at least the late season identity that we've had, is kind of having somebody, primarily Alonso, go and bag an early goal. And I don't know if that has kind of band-aided maybe some issues that we have across the field, where teams that are playing against us, like when you get punched in the nose in the first 2 minutes and now you're playing back the whole game, like that changes probably the mindset and the tactics that you brought to the game. So I don't know if a run of those types of performances have kind of allowed us to maybe ignore maybe some inefficiencies on the field. I know obviously a big inefficiency on the field that's not related to that is the fact that Hack had to start back at center back with Thiago, and you know, interestingly, Thiago was the guy that had the biggest mistake of the game between those two center backs. But like not having Burke back there is a major issue. And we talked about center back depth, probably 1 or 2 episodes ago. Like this is something that has needed to be addressed for a while, and you know, we're at a point where it can't be addressed anymore. And if we're looking at the personnel we have, like from Cushing's point of view, I probably would not be starting Hack at center back. I think you would slot somebody like Jimmy in and let Pereira play as close to a 90 as he can. I know he's, you know, somewhat back from injury, but we had some time off too. It just kind of, in a you know, hindsight way, it felt like Pereira should have been on that field in some type of capacity, you know, for the length of that game, and Sands probably into a Hack back there.
Yeah, I mean, you know, Hack, I don't really have anything to say about his performance, which, you know, I think in a lot of ways is a good thing, because typically we're very much having to defend one side or the other of, it was a very good performance or there were some mistakes in the yellow card. I know he got a yellow in this one that, to me, like if I'm the ref, I'm probably giving him a red there.
Tolleson being the hometown boy said on the broadcast that he thought it could be shown red too.
I thought it probably should have been a red.
And it was like the second minute. So that now affects his ability to defend for the next 88 minutes.
And so, I back Hack a lot. I probably back him more in like the sports book in terms of to get a yellow prop bet. Like that's, I guess, his style. But I don't think that he made any huge mistakes that necessarily costed us. I just think Jimmy is a lot more versed in that position and in the team in general. Like he's had more minutes in the team. So when you have a pivotal role like the center back role, you probably want to do it in there. That's been there, done that at a high level, and maybe give, like you said, Pereira or Hack or somebody else a chance at midfield, where it's still very, very important, obviously, but not as detrimental potentially to the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think another way that you can even sort it out is allowing Hack to take probably Keaton's role, and you get Keaton off the field for a Pereira. To kind of sit in that Sands spot while Sands plays that center back role with Thiago, because Keaton is what I think what's been talked about a lot in different platforms has been like him kind of missing a handful of sitters. I mean, I don't know what position we could potentially be pushing if it has to be 5 or 6 sitters. It is very difficult to score goals.
Tough.
What is a sitter to Keaton is a very difficult goal for a man like me to score. But that's why you do get paid professionally to play. So you would love for those opportunities. There was one in this game. There was also one from Alenic, I think, that looked like it should have been finished. And then late in the game too, after it felt like we had already given up, I think Julian got one, cross coming in from the left side. I don't know if it was from O'Toole, but like those are the moments where you have to capitalize. And maybe that does allow you to rally and do something. But like there was nobody, at least in the attack, that I felt was, doing something to kind of give us any hope or thought that like we were going to get one.
Well, there was the Alonso almost chance where he got sniped from
I don't know what
another building. I don't know what, this man's knee like exploded and rebuilt itself within 5 minutes. Like it was absolutely insane.
Did he kick the ground or?
I didn't know. It just seemed like he went to kick it and like fell back slowly.
Yeah, and that was the early game goal Alonso moment.
Right.
Wasn't that within the first 5?
That would have been, I think that would have been the response to us going, like that would have been an equalizer, I think.
Yeah.
I could be remembering it entirely wrong. I think we were playing like Roblox or something at the time. Like something crazy. But that, to me, and not to like circle back too hard on this one thing, because I think we've talked about it a lot, but Cushing said that he doesn't necessarily think that Martinez is fit enough to play at a high level for 90 minutes. In other words, he said that. That to me looks exactly like when we're playing pickup and my legs are shot, and like exactly what I want to do when I try to kick the ball and my legs don't
get the signal,
cooperate, and they don't work. Yeah. Like that's exactly what it looked like. Like he wanted to kick it and his legs were like, ground, buddy, now.
But it was early in the game off a break.
Super early off a break.
So I don't know, maybe I honestly don't know. Like there wasn't really a defender that I thought put something on him to put him off balance, just like a slip for whatever reason. And like those are the moments that hurt you if you're not going to have any production for the rest of the game. I feel like looking at the box score or the stats, whatever you want to call it, like, the famous screen that they show of shots and everything. And like you said, momentum, like, I don't know, looking at all those stats and possession, and I think we had like 16 shots. Like, I don't know when any of those even happened in the game.
There's like the Santi bike attempt.
Yeah.
There was
and only 4 of them were on target, to be fair. So like, if you're kicking it into the supporters section.
It's kind of like, I might on certain nights have 6 shots, but they're field goals.
Right.
Like they're roof shots.
Nothing to remember.
So, I don't know. And kind of looking full picture, like I said, I wanted to bring up some things that Michael Allen pointed out, and I don't know, maybe have a conversation, because I feel like when you're wrapped up in Twitter and the ideas that people have about the team and where they're at and where we've been and all this stuff, I think it's easy to forget kind of the standard of the club. And this was highlighted by, like I said, Michael Allen. He put a screenshot of all of our finishes. I think it was our Wikipedia page. I'm not sure. But outside of our first season, last season, and this season, we have never finished outside of the top 8 in the league, let alone in our conference, which has been mostly 2s and 3s and some 4s mixed in there. Do you think with that context that we continue to, I guess, do the thing that they call crazy or insane and continue with historically poor finishes? Like finish with staff and players, and you can go all the way to the top.
Like, are you saying is getting into the playoffs enough for Cushing to be a man with a job?
Who is the only one
after,
who has 2 of our 3 finishes outside of the top 8 in the league. Because I think this season, you give or take 11th or 12th. I granted, I did this with eyeball math of like, okay, we have 50 points. Colorado has 50 points, so
right.
There's only this many teams that have better points than us.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, I mean, the standard was obviously not there last year. That was, I mean, it was the worst. Was it the worst finish in club history? I think so.
22nd in the league.
Yeah, that doesn't even sound like something that I can understand as a fan of this club. Like,
I think it was 22nd in the league, 11th in the East.
I can't even believe that happened. Like, I can't believe we lived through that this time last year. Like, that's where our headspace was at.
And not to interrupt where you're going with that, but like it almost feels like this season was somewhat a continuation of that, because it dragged 9 games into this season.
Yeah, it did. Yeah. Well, the early season is really what screwed us now. Like, we had so many conversations throughout this year saying like, this is the game that we're going to talk about after we play Montreal, and like that was 3 points that we should have had that would have guaranteed us 4th and wouldn't have put us in a position, to feel shitty after a result like this for Montreal. But I don't know. Like, I honestly don't know. I feel like it kind of is what it is at any given point. Like, I don't think Cushing should probably go unless we're bringing in some kind of, marquee manager or somebody at the very least, proven, whether that's overseas in a comparable league or somebody within the MLS that we drop a bag on. Somebody like, not that I think we can drop a bag on like a Nancy and make him switch sides, because that Columbus team is going to be an issue for another couple of years, including this playoff run. So I guess not really, because all we really need at the moment is consistency. Like, it still is the NYCFC, and this is part of our identity too. And this is a big identity episode of the club, but on our best day forever, as long as history of our club has existed, on our best day, I feel like we could have always beaten any other team in the league. Yeah. And I feel like that today too.
That kind of, part of that though is...
Maybe not Miami, but...
Part of that is the parity of the MLS. I think on any day, any team could beat anybody due to kind of the way that the league is.
It could be true.
But, I think some of the ideas and the identities that we've built up for the team go hand in hand with the fact that we've always been at least a top 8 team in the league. Historically, it's 8 and 8 would be the worst.
Right.
Outside of last season.
Yep.
But you also look at it and you go, okay, so last season we finished 22nd in the league overall. This season, 11th or 12th, give or take. You're improving at a significant rate. Doubling your position in the table. Is that improvement enough to say that you trust in, I guess, the project that is NYCFC, or whatever we have cooking? Because like you said, yes, we were kind of held back by the 9-game skid in the beginning, but I thought that he was kind of lucky to make it past that. But, I mean, you look at other things like how the locker room feels about him. On my 90% of the days, like, they're fighting for him.
Yeah.
At least it appears that way. Mm-hmm. Like, Montreal isn't the best case. Like, if you were going to say this team fights for somebody, like, after that performance, I don't know that that's the tape you show. But if I had to choose a side, I'm probably sticking with Cushing. But,
that's if, like, like I said, a marquee, a proven guy, somebody that, because it would be stupid to allow him to kind of have the reins as long as he had, and then to bring somebody in that is the same skill level as him or that has been in the room with him for that time. So somebody like Medi, like,
right.
I could see, it's hard because if you do let Medi steer the ship, then you could argue that he may have some differences that could be positively influential for the
mm-hmm.
team. But, like, at the end of the day, I doubt there's going to be any major, like, wholesale changes if you just upgrade a dude from within mm-hmm.
to
take his role, especially somebody like a Medi. Obviously it was different than upgrading a Cushing to a Ronnie because Ronnie was from outside the system, mm-hmm. was brought in as a proven dude.
Right.
From, where was he? He was in his home country, I believe. Was it Norway or, yeah. Mm-hmm. He was from one of those, he had just won the league. So, like, that would explain that. But, like, in this case, like, Medi is as unproven as Cushing at this point.
So you're Cushing over Medi?
I think
generally.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like Medi is also like his. Medi is like his vice president. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but was Medi also in that same role with Ronnie?
I feel like Cushing probably was, right, and that's why Cushing got.
Because I've always known to look for Medi on the sideline.
It was Efrain that Ronnie took with him. Mm. And then I really don't know why maybe they threw a dart at a board with Cushing, Medi, and whatever other assistant coaches' mm-hmm. faces were there. And, like, it landed on Cushing. But I would have to assume there would be a reason, and it's probably just tenure within Citigroup that got him it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, credentials probably.
Right. And,
with
like,
the women's team.
But they have pretty identical credentials, so I don't see both of them being within the City Football Group system now for as long as they have. And, like, Cushing has been in a managerial role for how many years is it now? Pushing 20. Mm-hmm. If you include Manchester City Women's, like, and Medi was playing for us 5 years ago. So from a managerial standpoint, like, credential-wise, Cushing is, he does make more sense if you're just looking at resumes.
Because we did live through this, like, Ronnie was technically available. Is it Ronnie or
I would love to have Ronnie back, of course. I don't know that I think he's getting bagged up by the Saudi League at the moment.
Yeah.
So, hey, maybe once he gets his check, then maybe he wants to return to
actual
things
ball
he feels passionate about, or that he has an emotional connection to. Everybody they got to get their first big contract, and then they do what they enjoy.
Yeah.
So maybe he finds his way back, but probably not by 2027. Like, we're probably Cushing until 2027, unless, like, Pep really has this clause in his contract, or
I feel like it would be,
or they drop $1 billion on his head or something.
Yeah.
To make the stadium worth it.
Like, Pep, for the performances, I would love, but, like, I would hate to be in a press conference with Pep so much.
No, to be fair, we've been in one Pep press conference, and it was very entertaining, though.
It was entertaining.
It was.
But if I was a human asking questions, I would be so tilted.
Yeah, we weren't asking questions about a team that we care as much about,
Well, there's just, like, most of his answers are like, you're an idiot for asking that, and let me tell you why you're an idiot for asking that. And then the other 5% are, like, basic charisma, and everyone loses their mind.
It has to be said that there is a very strong Man U spin zone being applied to the situation at the moment.
Possible. It's possible.
It's possible.
If you just look at the clips for yourself, I won't even give you any commentary. Just watch them. Like, I think somebody was asking him the other day, do you want to end up managing international football as a way to, like, still be in the game but not have to spend so much time and so much of your life to coach and to be a part of the game? And essentially it was like, you're an idiot.
What was his answer?
I don't remember word for word.
Just that is he not interested in?
No, like that he would at some point.
You know what?
His job is his job.
Yeah, I could see it being like you thinking that international football is less of a job than club football kind of makes you dumb. Which is like, you have less fixtures, I guess.
Well, like,
but you are still a very busy man.
Yeah.
Like, Poch was at Austin FC 2 game in the rafters with, who? Random Joe Schmo from Austin.
Well, as reporters and media people, our only context to it, if you don't answer questions like that,
yeah, we kind of have to assume,
is that we play FIFA, and on FIFA, when you take a national team job, you don't see emails for like months, bro. You don't see them for 3 months.
You don't even play it.
So, like, what is my international coach doing? He's sipping martinis.
That is probably true, though. I think, Pep is probably never going to happen. I think if he was to coach, it'll probably be a Spain managerial role, right? He's not going to come. Yeah. Why would he come to America? And we asked him questions.
If he likes New York. But yeah, in that moment, he did crown you the MLS knower of the two.
Yeah, he did say that. Of me versus Pep. He did say, I know more.
And that is wild, too, to be like, between me and you, you're better. He basically was like, yeah, if we were put up against each other in this two things, like, you're him.
Yeah. That is,
So, honestly, that would be on my resume so long ago. Be like, yeah, Pep Guardiola? Said I know more than them.
Yeah. But although what he also said in that statement is, I don't give a shit about the MLS.
He was like, I don't give a rat's
really
ass
what he meant
about the MLS.
That is truly what he meant, which sucks to hear and does not bode well for, him coming here for anything less than a king's bag being dropped on the top of that bald head.
You guys, and by you guys, I mean, like, CFG will find a way to pay him.
You guys.
To pay him without...
you are... Sorry, but you've been welcomed into the fold, my dear brother, as an NYCFC fan. Yeah. You have to bear the weight of this crown as well.
In one way or another, I am 115, but to no benefit to me, really.
To no benefit, no. We've gotten no benefits, and we've only gotten players stolen, managers shipped off for being too vocal. You name it.
I do feel that, in one way or another, maybe they start a business for him, and that business booms very quickly, and he gets paid.
Or he does the Klopp thing. What is manager of football relations for Red Bull Group?
Yeah, but I do feel, Yankee Stadium for that City AC Milan game, like, it was the perfect propaganda that he needed to see to be like, okay, people do actually give a shit about soccer in this country.
Yeah.
And specifically in this city.
Yeah.
Like, people care about it here, and we'll show up. Will they show up like that for Alonso Martinez and Pep? I don't know, dude. But
no, you need somebody on the field that has the star power of Pep, because that's what you go to watch. You don't go to watch like Pep on the sideline and everything.
Yeah.
Like, you need somebody scoring goals. You need a Tati.
Patty V and Villa and Pirlo and Lampard. And those dudes were pulling the same crowds that prime Manchester City did.
Regularly, too.
And
one thing that is interesting to note that's completely strayed from the topic that we were just talking about, with all of those names that we just mentioned being, in the history of this club, this season Santi is the first player to have double-digit goals and assists ever in club history.
Really?
That, to me, it also is not something I...
What, did Villa, he had 9
I don't know.
assists one year?
I didn't check it, but Joe Tollison's partner on the broadcast said it. So that was something interesting to note. And then the other thing that I found interesting as we talk about the club identity, and maybe this is the last moment, I can't remember if it was Joe or his partner that said it, but we've trailed at halftime 7 times this season, and not a single one of the times that we've gone into halftime losing have we managed to win a game.
That's bad.
That is...
so that's trailing by 1 or trailing by 2?
Trailing by anything. If you're trailing at half.
Trailing by a hair on the manager's
Well, you're not.
head.
I guess we could have drawn, because we did, like Miami, for instance.
Yeah.
But, when we get into win or go home football, that is the playoffs, that's the type of identity that
Does that
needs to
include
change.
Playoffs?
That was just this season, just this regular season.
Okay, gotcha.
So, I guess the point is, in the regular season, we've had the ability to get a draw and we can like kind of say, well, it's not a big deal because we ended up getting a point anyways, but we don't have that luxury in the playoffs. Like, we have to find a way, especially with the bracket that exists, playing Cincy first, potentially a Columbus. Who knows, you know, if some type of Cinderella thing was happening, like, we're going to get punched in the face in the playoffs, and we have to learn how to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, you know, the only argument is if we, you know, if 7 of those times we end up drawing 5, like, we need the form of those 5 to show up, at least to give us a chance in like extra time.
Yep. Or pens.
Does these playoff games, do those go to extra time? Do they go straight to pens? Like, how does that work? Because you can't draw those.
We're horrible hosts.
You can't draw those.
No, we can. So the best of 3, you can draw. And then, right?
So what, 2-3 draws? Like,
Well, then I guess the third one would go to extra time and then pens. It would have to. But I think or not. It would just be they all finish within 90 minutes. Or they couldn't. They could draw. They could all draw. They must all go to extra time and pens because we're doing a best of 3 series.
Right.
So somebody's going to have to be 2-1.
Right.
Yeah. Or 2.
I would assume they'd go to pens at least.
Yeah.
That'd be more fun.
Yeah.
To just go straight to pens.
I mean,
I say that because we're good at pens.
Yeah. You know, fun is subjective. It would be like heart attack causing to potentially, you know, the number of penalty shootouts we had to go through just in the Leagues Cup, which is way less importance.
But good.
So it was a lot to deal with.
Great practice. Great pressure.
Mijatovic, best moment of his NYCFC career was in the penalty shootout of, which game was that? The one at Yankee Stadium, if you remember.
No, his best moment was like training probably Tuesday.
That's true. He is a training star.
The R9 of training.
The R9
this
of
kid,
training.
the R9 of training.
And well, that's the thing about bad players. You don't even know their names, so I don't know somebody to relate him to of real open 90-minute competitive.
The Burgett of 2024. No, Burgett scored.
Yeah, he did. He also probably got more minutes.
He demanded those.
Yeah,
it's a tricky subject there.
It's a tricky subject. That I think is a good question because you did ask about potential managerial or coaching staff or general staff like a David Lee or something turnover from season to season, which isn't something we typically see. I would wonder from a player standpoint what type of turnover we're going to see.
Yeah, I think
because we're not going to get everybody back.
Yeah, Mijatovic is probably, you know, he's going to be getting that Thiago loaned out and never talked about again type of treatment. Okay. I think I did see somebody say, I don't remember exactly who it was, otherwise I'd just say it, but, you know, they were putting the failed experiment, I guess you could call it. Like, I wouldn't even call it that because expecting a 19-year-old to come into a professional team and, like, take it by storm and, you know.
There hasn't really been an experiment yet.
That's what I'm saying. Like it's hard to even call it an experiment, but they were saying that it was a failed development of Mijatovic by Cushing, and that, you know, it's a failure that's going to go on his resume.
Then they cry if he starts him over Alonso.
There's no winning.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, there's no winning.
Yeah.
Either you start the 19-year-old who, if you look at the tape, is not putting in effort that Alonso is, or that even Mounsef is. Yeah. Like, both of those guys put out so much more energy and effort than the kid. So if you do start the kid, you're going to be angry at what you see. If you don't start him, then you're hindering his development.
Do you think there's any world that, like, an Alonso gets sold over the winter?
No.
Really?
I think if he gets sold, he's going to, like, get a check somewhere like Gabby did.
That's what I'm saying. Like, because I guess from our perspective of the FO, and I thought about this a little bit because I think Trey might have talked about it on a Blue Balls pod like a month ago. And very quickly they said, like, what if Alonso leaves? And I've been thinking about it too. Like, if you're the front office and you're looking at Alonso Martinez and what are the chances that he can replicate a season like this again? What is he, 25, 26 years old?
27, I want to say. 28.
I don't know if he's that old.
He's 27 or 28.
I think he's like 25.
He's about my age.
Well, so, what are the chances that he replicates a season like this again where he leads the league in goals per 90 in a league?
26.
26.
That was his birthday like 6 days ago.
Oh, okay. I was going to say.
So he's 25.
I was about to spit agenda and be like, so he'll be 27 next season, but that's not true.
Yeah. He turned 26.
As a 26-year-old that is unproven, and knowing the history of our club related to like the types of player profiles that we like, which are basically be 22 and younger or American, and then you have a spot in this roster for over 2 years. That's like essentially what it is. Mm-hmm. So like that almost feels like a sell high opportunity, and I love the guy, but what are the chances that he replicates something like this ever again?
I don't know. I mean, he's a fresh 26.
Fresh 26.
That means at 25, though, that his manager has concerns of him being able to go 90 minutes at 25 years old. Like, I'm 27, chubby dude. I got some meat on me, pause. But, like, that might have to get cut.
What the hell? Does that even... Tati is 26 right now.
Yeah.
I just had to look it up to compare.
But we run. Like, we run at pickup. Like, that's not... I know it's harder to run faster and you're covering more field, but, like...
Yeah.
You should be able to do it as a pro athlete who dedicates their life to it.
So that's basically what I'm saying is I don't know if... Like, this feels like a... And it sucks because I do like the kid, but this feels like a sell high opportunity.
Damn, that's
right?
Great. That's
is
crazy that your UNC status allows you to call the 26-year-old kid.
That is true.
And you have to look...
Now imagine if you were...
You have to look in the mirror and eat that tonight.
Now imagine if you were 50 and Brad Sims. And you were like, we plucked this kid from nowhere. We just made him the best scorer per 90 minutes in the MLS. That includes a Lionel Messi and a Luis Suarez and everybody.
He's over Messi now?
And Suarez. He is first. Or no, sorry. This is since the Leagues Cup. But like, what have you done for me lately?
Probably like fifth now.
Yeah. I mean, at some point he was sandwiched between Lionel and...
If he didn't get sniped last night, he's up there.
He's again. Up there. So like even being in the top 5...
it's pretty crazy.
Every club in the world wants a dude that can score goals.
I
would assume they would receive at least a phone call from at least one club. And like I don't know. I could see entertaining it, but I'm not going to throw out prices. Like I don't even know what. Like 8. What did Gabby go for it? 15? Nowhere near that.
He's probably like 6 mil only.
Alonso?
I don't think 6 mil is worth taking that weapon from us. Like, it's much more worth the chance to be like, maybe he only scores half as many goals, but he's in a position to set somebody else up to score or whatever.
I'd sell him for 8
to me, that's worth $6 million.
I'd sell him for 8 to 10. Would you?
Dude, I would sell a Sprite for $10 if I could. Like, what are we talking about?
Okay, so what's the number where you're like, I would prefer Alonso over the cash? 6.
Like
but you'd
6.
sell him for 7.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Okay. That's the number. If that's the number, that's the number.
Yeah.
I think so. And honestly, like it wouldn't be insane with a year of hopefully maturing under his belt, like for Mijatovic at the start of next season, to get full striker minutes for the first 10 games, the way that we did with Baki. And like if you don't score in those first 10 games, then you are now back in the role that Baki was this season.
But I think if Alonso goes, then Munsef is going to get another 10 games.
We got to bring somebody else in.
Well, but bringing somebody else in is sending Mijatovic out because that's essentially telling him, it's not you either this season.
Yeah.
Like, to me...
I feel like next season is like Mijatovic's season to become what he wants to, if he wants to. That will be when he truly gets his opportunity. Because he'll be 20 then. And then, I mean, if Alonso's still here, that's not going to happen. But
I'd take Segal over him back. I'd take Segal back. I trust him more.
Segal has more goals this season.
I would trust him more.
Yeah.
And it's,
Bro, we don't even have Jason on our team anymore.
I know.
I just remembered that. How weird is that? A Jason-less NYCFC.
I mean, in a perfect world, Munsef is scoring, Alonso is on that right side or left side, and you got Hannes doing whatever that guy does.
Whatever he can do.
Whatever he can do. Hannes is the guy in the office that you're like,
how do we get him going?
I know he does something here. He has a job here. He's been here for a while. But I've never seen a report come from that guy.
Yeah, like if he was gone, what would fall apart?
Yeah, it's like...
surely something.
I see emails from people, but never him.
Yeah.
But
surely something would fall apart. Sure.
What is he cooking over there?
I mean, Julian would be on the field every time Hannes is if Hannes wasn't here. So do what you will with that information.
Yeah, but it shouldn't be that way. I would. It sucks that we're at the point in the season where we can't experiment anymore. Because
we haven't been there for a while.
I know, and I've been the leader of like...
Cushing has been still there somehow.
I've been the leader of like, hey guys, we can't experiment anymore. We should have it figured out by now. But like Ojeda on the left, Alonso on the right, Munsef down the middle, like that has to work. That has to be something that can produce anything, and it just never has. I'm kind of in the...
you know what camp I'm really falling towards lately? A 2-striker system for 2025. And I know we've come on here, or I've come on here myself and said, I don't know how the fuck you do that with the number of midfielders that demand starting roles on this roster. But that might be it.
Well, doing it that way is
like a 4.
What's sad about
4-2-4.
What you're saying right there is that actually perfectly fits Yankee Stadium, like playing there. If you're gonna dip your toes into the agenda that is the field is less wide, it's a narrow field, then playing a formation that allows you to push the ball through the middle, which would be 2 strikers up front, maybe a diamond in the middle. Like that allows you to play through the middle and play
you need
short.
To have some good midfielders.
Which we do.
Yeah, like it'd have to be Santi, Baki, Alonso, Hannes, and then Sands and Pereira, and then your back line. And Santi as a left wing is essentially another midfielder in a way. Well, the way that he plays it.
The fullbacks would be at times operating as your...
Mm-hmm. Which O'Toole and Tavon can do. Both of them have provided assists from stupid places on the field that we've never seen them provide from before. Tavon has 7 assists on the season. This is the breakout that we've been praying for 4 years now.
Yeah.
So, we'll see.
Did he either got pulled off or didn't start Montreal?
He got taken off for Alenic.
Yeah.
And then that's when...
Alenic almost blew his leg out.
Yeah. And he had a sitter as well that, probably should have won it.
Yep.
So, I thought this would be like a 20-minute episode.
Well, you get us yapping.
Yeah, we haven't talked about the team in 2 weeks, so we appreciate everybody that kind of falls back into their headphones and listens to the pod when there are international breaks, coming out of international breaks, after games, in the off season, which is soon, which is wild to say. November is in like a week. So
that's crazy.
We'll keep recording as long as people keep listening, and we'll probably keep recording even if people stop listening.
Yeah.
And this episode is proof of that because it's now been an hour.
It's kind of, I mean, we can't say it enough. It is literally like therapy. I mean, to get the frustration of Montreal out, we weren't going to be able to do it on the video game. So we just got to talk about the team and where they're at, and it kind of helps us. So.
And I think from a perspective of upcoming games and where they're going to be played, it looks like we may dodge the RBA bullet, potentially.
There's the whole, will the field be ready?
For Citi Field, because I T's and P's Mets fans, but I know Yankee Stadium will not be available unless we make it to the Cup, I think. I think that's the only way that we see a Yankee Stadium in these playoffs. So I think we're going to be at the home game regardless. I think it is, I had the schedule.
November something.
Yeah, November 2nd. And I don't even know, that would be a weekday?
November 2 would be a Saturday.
Oh, so we're locked in for
but
November.
It's a Day of the Dead. What?
The calendar, I don't know the date of the World Cup games, but the calendar that is provided by NYCFC via, whatever RSS link or whatever, you could plug it into your iPhone calculator, says Yankee Stadium. I don't know if that's a leak or poor coding or, not updating.
Well, maybe they can't put TBD in there.
Yeah.
So just like default.
Yeah, and they're like, and there's a World Series game that night, so don't get it twisted.
You said World Cup.
World Series.
TBD. Yeah, Google says TBD.
Yeah, so either Citi Field or RBA, I think we'll probably be there if it's a Saturday. And it looks like it's, did it say? No, it says time is TBD too, so.
Hopefully it's early.
Everything's TBD. Venue TBD, time TBD. All we know is the date and the opponent.
So that would be Game 7 of the World Series. So
Which
hopefully
could not be needed.
Hopefully Yankees in 5.
Hopefully Yankees in 4.
Yankees in 5.
Because, best of 7.
We do have to keep in mind that my dad is a Dodgers fan, and
he lives in Connecticut.
He's got, and this is giving up too much.
No.
He has Fontana tattooed on his stomach. That man is as California as they come.
Yep. He is that. So that's 143. Appreciate you guys if you stuck around this long. I know, I don't know, are those playoff games, are they all weekend games or do they start throwing in midweeks? It was October 28th and then November 2nd. So, yeah, we play Monday and then we play the following Saturday. So, we'll likely be at the game on November 2nd, barring catastrophic.
So this coming Monday.
1
week from now.
Exactly a week from now. The playoff game will be taking screen time from Monday Night Football.
Can't express how important it is for us to get out on the front foot and at least, don't get far behind in terms of, tiebreakers and stuff like that. That wouldn't even come into play because it's 3. But
maybe we bug the City Boys and make them do a live episode with us on it. Might be a thing.
Mondays.
I don't know. It's hard to know. We'll see what happens.
TBD is on that as well.
Because I know we've talked about it. We've long talked with many guests about different things we could do together, and then
never done them.
Yeah, I mean, we are horrible hosts when it comes to doing anything as a group.
As idea guys, I mean, first in class idea guys.
I mean, there is no better idea guy. Yeah. Just be aware, when we sit on here and we criticize the execution of players on the field.
Monday Night Football is Steelers Giants.
Oh, no. Second screen. There's always a second screen.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Either way, you guys will, hear from us that night. Definitely on Twitter, on all the social networks that we are on. And then you'll hear from us after the fact to talk about a big NYCFC dub in Ohio.
Absolutely.
So, appreciate you. Follow us at Post90Pod pretty much anywhere that you type your things that you like to type online.
Email.
And we'll catch you there, and we'll catch you here next week.
Up the boys in blue. We'll see you.
Peace.